All right, everybody, away we go. Welcome to today's call. It is Friday. Happy Memorial Day to you all. It is Friday, May 22nd of 2020, and this is the TRC sales training call, which you know is my favorite. Whoops, sorry about that, which is my favorite day of the week, so that we can get after all things that are important to you. So I'm going to do that. And of course, Rebecca, you have been kind enough to send me some recordings to help me kick this off. But remember, this is your call, everybody, and it's up to you to get to me what your questions are or your recorded calls if you want to go over those. And this continues to work. I'll just repeat. Saying the right thing to the right person at the right time and making the right offer really is working, and it's working across all sorts of platforms. Meaning whether they buyer incoming leads or buyer outgoing leads or whatever they might be. Now you come to the sellers. Everything's working to the extent that we're prospecting people, meaning they're willing to continue the conversation with us, which is exciting. And I want that to continue for you all, and I want to share in that success with you all. But you have to do this stuff, right? You can't just come here, learn, and then, we go from there, right? So you really want to participate here for yourselves. And again, I'll always say this, it's no surprise that the people that succeed in this program or people that are just dropping by, they actually just go out and practice this stuff. So no rocket science in what we teach. In fact, we teach keeping it simple. We believe that simple is better. I think I was just out with some buyers right before the call, and it's about that simplification. Okay, I like this house, I like this price, but what is the math? Wonderful. The next step is that you really need to sit down with the lender and you need to do the math at this purchase price, even though that was started. So it's simple information that empowers people to make a decision. And when you're the party that does that for them, well, guess what? Then you get to benefit from them doing business with you. Okay. All right. So let's get started here. And Rebecca, I've muted everybody on the way in so that I didn't have to go play that game right now. So Rebecca, if you want to unmute your microphone, I'll pull up what seems to be a new fresh set of calls that you wanted me to review. So you can let me know that that is indeed the fact, and I'll go from there. You there?
Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I saw you say hi, so you have to go on to the Zoom and unmute yourself. And if you can't do that, then I'm going to have to do it for you.
How about, can you hear me now? Hello?
There you go. Okay, I see you. Go ahead. Speak.
Hello, can you hear me? Testing 1, 2, 3.
Oh, yeah, here we go. Hang on one second. Hang on. I've got
Weird. Unmuted.
I've got you now. Hang on one second.
I see you. Go ahead. Okay, can you hear me?
I got you. Go ahead. Sorry about that. I had to double mute something, so it was actually on my end. So, all right, here we go. Tell me what we have here. What do we have?
We got 2 follow-up calls. One, the guy is the son of the client I'm trying to reach, and the other call, she's a prospect that I've been talking to on and off for the last several months, and she said she's not ready yet.
Okay. All right. So follow-up call, spoke with her son. She's on vacation. Is that worth listening to? That first one? I lose you, Rebecca?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello?
You're coming in and out. You just cut out. Is Mrs. Josepha even worth listening to since you spoke to her son? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what happens there. What's the goal on that one there since you spoke to her son? Did you have a substantial call with him?
It was short, but I don't know if I could have handled getting more information out of him better. I did try to ask when he thought she would be back in town, and he said he didn't know.
Okay.
So I handled it.
Is he a decision maker?
Is he what?
A decision maker?
No, he's not.
Okay. Okay, well, let's go for it. I'm not so sure.
It's a short call.
Yeah, all right. I'm not so sure it's worth it because, but I'll go for it since you want to. I don't know what you can do when you don't have a decision maker on the phone, right?
Right. That's where I was at too. I'm like, I don't know what else I could have done with this call.
Right. Yeah. Well, we don't. Yeah. Again, like I said to you over the last couple of weeks, that doesn't need to be some pressure you put yourself under, right? I mean, the idea here is there's only so much you can do, and if it's not a decision maker, move on. Right. I think from that standpoint, it's a good discussion. So let's listen to it.
Hey, Jerry. Yes, I'm looking for Joseph Araba. Oh, she's not in today. She's out on vacation out of the country.
Oh, okay. All right. Do you know when she'll be back?
Not so sure.
Not so sure. Okay, I'll try in the
Yeah.
next few weeks then. Oh, that's
Okay.
wonderful. I hope she enjoyed her vacation. Thanks for taking my call. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, like I said, that's really going to the bottom of the barrel of crabs. Why did you pick that one of all the things you could have sent me? Why are you stuck there?
Because he's not the only call I've had like that, and I was just wondering, is
Okay,
there
good.
something else I could do? That's all.
Did you really determine when she would be back in town? That's the best you can do, because then in the future, you're not going and wasting the time trying to guess when she's back in time. So do you know when she'll be back? You know what I mean? And just trying to ask that.
Got it. All right, perfect.
Yeah, because well, look, I think that's a fair comment because she's really nothing more than a lead, and so we're trying to, manage this big batch of leads to say what's the best use of time and what's not the best use of time. So the more specific, and this goes for prospects too, the more specific we can be about, exactly when they're going to, talk to us, when they're going to actually maybe allow us to show them some properties or allow us, to go out to the house. I think, to that extent, it matters, right? So that's where you would want to lean in on all that stuff. Does that help?
Sure does. Thank you, Danny.
Okay, yeah, you're welcome. All right, so let's go to number 2 here. And tell me about the context for this one.
Yes. I've been talking to her for several months on and off, like, check back in 30 days kind of thing, because that's what she's asked.
Okay.
So she's a follow-up call, and I'm just following up, seeing if she's ready to make that appointment with Gail.
Okay, cool. All right. So what's the biggest challenge with your follow-up stuff these days, right? Because you've sort of evolved through it a little bit, but again, you know what happens. I mean, we do this regular training because we all snap back to a lesser version of ourselves pretty easily, or a previous version, I would say, lesser if we've evolved, right? So I think the idea is, we need to figure that piece of it out. What is the biggest challenge that you're having with this stuff? So in general, what is it?
So this particular call is an example of what I've been struggling with. Should I have pushed in harder and set an appointment for 60 days out, or is it okay that I call her back in 60 days and then we set the appointment with
All right,
Gail?
real good question. Real good. Let's listen. Okay, now I have context.
Hello. Hi, this is Rebecca with Griffin Realty. We spoke about 30 days ago. You said to give you a call sometime this month. Just to come back with you, and I'd like to schedule an appointment for you to speak with Gail if you're ready to talk with her.
Okay, so let me go there. First of all, remind me, are you calling from a dialer?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so you're calling from a dialer, and is that delay because there's a dialer delay?
Yes, and it's
Right.
jumping from my cell phone to Mojo to their cell phone and back again.
Yeah, it just drives me batty. I get the reason why we use these dialers, but I think it hurts quality. I'll just say that out
I
loud.
don't have a problem when I call.
Yeah, there's a strain. You hear that delay, Gail? In the
Yeah, I
beginning?
hear it, but I call all the time too, and I don't have that
All right,
issue.
why don't you record one for me? I want to hear it. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to hear it. I'm auditory and visual, so let's record one and figure out why she gets that delay. I think these details, as you see me getting more micro week after week here, I think they really matter. If you chart the course 1 degree off to sail from Boston to England, you got a problem, right? So that's essentially what we're doing here. So if we even start, it sounds subtle, we could end up in, my favorite saying, the poppy fields with Dorothy, right, Gail? So I think that delay, it throws her off, and then there's almost that, is she going to have to recover? And that's my concern. So let me just say that. The other thing that hits me here, and I might go back and just replay this whole thing already, I feel like we're a little bit off course here already, Rebecca, because I called you 30 days ago is more the technically correct. Hey, here's what happened. It's a recap of what happened. we have to always remember that every time you start with somebody, especially the earlier on in a sales process or sales cycle they don't remember the benefit or what's in it for them. So as much as you make that presumption, I mean you generically, as much as we all make that presumption that they remember everything that happened because we're standing there with these notes, and of course they remember when we call them. No, they don't, right? No, they don't. And this is why it's a big, I think, the best technique of combining, this concept of having the direct mail go out and maybe the digital mail follow up. I think by combining all that so that between calls, there is content coming from us. Yes, that can help. But even in the best content marketing follow up between an initial call and the next call, we have to remind them every time what the benefit is to them, right? Rebecca, it's Danny Griffin calling. We spoke back about 30 days ago, and I had sent you out that package of information that would help you sell your house the next time. And I just wanted to follow up because I know originally when we talked, your timing wasn't right then. So, it was just checking back in. Still seems like the reason to sell was pretty high, but you just weren't ready. How you feeling about it these days? And again, I'm making it up on the fly, trying to make the point that go back and reiterate what the benefit was, right? So if you go back, like, for example, I don't know if Sarah Corey and her team are on here today with the BDAs, but the idea would be the same thing, calling one of their buyer leads. Danny, it's Sarah Corey calling from Metro City Properties. The reason I'm calling is we talked about the creation of your free account last, month, and we were taking a look at, everything that was coming to you, and we had refined it. Number one, I want to make sure that that's working still. And number two, I just want to check back in. You had a pretty big reason to move, and seeing if you want to get out and see some of your favorites yet. I mean, I think you can start to get a little bit more aggressive as this time is going on, right? Make sense?
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
So let's try to listen to this again.
Are you a realtor? Yeah. The house is not ready yet, so I don't want to sell it now.
See, are you a realtor? She has zero connection to you guys. So let me go back and ask, is this a lady that got a package from you?
Yes, she got a package from us about 3 months ago.
Okay, and at this moment in time, you see my point is proven here. It means nothing to her. The name Rossetti would mean nothing to her because we haven't gotten in there enough in her psychology. And as we know, in an age of absolute content overwhelm, this is why I'm making the point. It is taking more and more touches, from people saying YouTube says it takes 21 touches. This one says it takes 22. I mean, we just know for certain that to get into the conversation that's going on in somebody's mind, it's going to take many more touches than it may have taken in the past. So the touch means a reiteration of what it is. It's Rebecca from Rossetti Realty. I'm calling you back. We chatted a couple months ago, and I'm the one that sent you that package of information that would help you sell it next time. I just want to reiterate, you got that, right? You see what I'm saying? Is it might sound redundant to you, but it's necessary to just get back on that footing. Gail, you want to comment on that at all?
Yes, I mean, we've talked about that. It's important to reiterate why you're calling again, even though, and she understands that. And we had to mail, I went over this with Rebecca. We had to email because she didn't want to give us her physical address. And I don't think there was the opportunity, I shouldn't say opportunity. I don't think Rebecca, when we went through notes yesterday, had spoken about that. So I think that that's really important. This is a $7 million listing on University Avenue in Palo Alto. Yeah. And so we made some adjustments about how we're making tasks in Mojo. I put her in Infusionsoft. I've also put her on listing alert on the area homes that are selling in Crescent Park in Palo Alto. So,
okay, all right, good. All right, hold on. Let's grab that chunk for a second.
Okay.
Number one, we have to go back. And if she's not accepting the package of information via direct mail for privacy issues, but was accepting of the digital package, did we ever in any of our follow-up confirm, just like a physical package. I will call you next week to make sure that you got it. And the reason from a selfish standpoint that we want that is because we know that giving them the right information, the 7 steps to them selling it correctly, the 5 or 6 or even fewer that sold in and around 7 million, that stuff is really going to make a big difference in the way that we position ourselves. So we have to verify that it got there, and we have to verify that she took a beat to get it. Now, in lieu of that, she's given you an opportunity to do it digitally. So was there ever a subsequent follow-up call to make sure that she got it digitally and that she was able to open it digitally? Did that ever happen?
Yes. Yes, it did.
Okay, good.
That was like 2 months ago or a month and a half ago or something like that. But yes, she did confirm she received it.
Okay, so let's go back to that call. So you had the follow-up call to say, did you get it? And the answer is yes, I did, right? Okay, so that worked. And then at that point in time, what do your notes tell you that she said?
She was not ready at that time. She wasn't certain because we were at the beginning of the lockdown.
Yeah.
It was like March or something like that, mid to late March. So she was like, well, I don't know what the market's going to do right now, so I'm going to hold off. But she did at that time tell me that there are 2 vacant properties that she's not living at that she has. So it's not just this one property. So that was the golden nugget I got from that call.
Okay, good. All right, good. So we make some progress there. We understand what's happening with her, and yeah, we're good. We're good there. Okay. So now we call back, and in this case, you have to reroute yourself because you're definitely in a $7 million property going to have competition. Whether it's daily owned, this one, that one, in Palo Alto, you're going to have competition. Period. Right. So we need to really make sure that that's going to like reset here. So let's go back and listen to this whole thing, and we'll just break it down. I'm going to play it through, and then I'll play it again. Okay. So here we go.
Okay, no worries. When would be a good time to call you back when you think you'll be closer to being ready?
这个 I have no idea, but anyway, should not be now. At least maybe 2 months. Yeah.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, I'm not trying to rush you. I'm just trying to figure out.
All right, right there we go with word whiskers again. Okay. See, I'm really trying to root. I did this with my own team, by the way, Rebecca. It's very interesting. I have 2 gals on my team, and when we did the campfire call the other day, we have to stop being apologetic, right? We have to stop it. It's actually, I know what we're trying to do. We're trying to say, I don't want to scare this person away. I want to be helpful. I'm going to do my best to be helpful. But, well, I didn't mean to press. Don't do that is my best advice. Don't. I call it the apologetics, right? We have to stop apologizing for being professional. You have some very, very important information that you sent to her. She's a privacy-oriented person, so she doesn't want it mailed, but she's putting you off. Okay. And wimpy leadership is what will kill us in any opportunity. We talked about that, right? I mean, we've talked about that pretty heavily over the last couple of weeks. There's a fine balance between guidance. Well, how I feel about pushy, and all this cold calling nonsense. When are you going to hire the right realtor and all this crap, right? But having said that, that doesn't mean I want shrinking violets on the phone. I think this is what Autumn does well. Autumn knows how to push and really get up underneath people while she's doing it, right? It's sort of like, you grab a child by the back of the shirt and say, no, not that way, busy traffic. And you put them over here. We don't want to say, oh, I'm not trying to put you, say, wonderful. Just keep it concise, right? Keep it concise. Great. When do you think the property will be ready? Because she just finished telling you the property is not ready. Great. When will the property be ready? Just be very concise, because all that other stuff, and number one, she's not a native English speaker. So the more that you start to get into this, and if she can't hear you too well on a phone, somebody puts a note in the chat that it makes, Gail, go in the chat too. Somebody put some technical advice in the chat. I don't know who that was, about the dialer, if you're directly hooked up, et cetera, right? So there's some technical advice in there that I'd take a look at. But my biggest concern here is this apologetic ending to this. Rebecca, you with me?
Yes, I was
Okay.
checking out the chat. Sorry
Yeah.
about that.
Okay, that's okay. Here we go. Ready? We're going to do this again. And I want you to hear all of the too much extra, because this could have been really concise. One, remind her, I'm the one that sent you the 7 steps and the properties that sold around you from Rossetti Realty. Try to re-anchor that. Somebody was just listening. I was listening to a podcast this morning. We want to go back and we want to relive all these situations with people and hope they do something, but we forget to go back and establish, what the benefits are to them, right? That's what we forget. So ultimately, we're missing that opportunity to reroute why us, because you're following up so diligently. This is costing you time, money, and energy, and you need to sink that into their brains. Got it?
Yep. Thank you.
Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this call, and you're going to listen to it, and you're going to tell me what you would specifically and technically do differently. Okay? Now that we
Okay.
have the discussion, here we go. Let it finish so I can restart it again.
Help you through the process. Okay. All right. I'll give you a couple more. Thank you so much.
All right, let me reset it. And here we go again. And again, sorry everybody, it's difficult to hear. The recording quality is tough. So let's do the best here we can.
Oh. Hello. Hi, this is Rebecca with Realty. We spoke about 30 days ago. You said to give you a call sometime this month. I'm just circling back with you, and I'd like to schedule an appointment for you to speak with Gail if you're ready to talk with her.
Are you a realtor?
Yes.
The house is not ready yet, so I don't want to sell it now.
Okay, no worries. When would be a good time to call you back when you think you'll be closer to being ready?
I have no idea, but anyway, it should not be now. And later, maybe 2 months. Yeah.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, I'm not trying to rush you. I'm just trying to figure out your timetable so we can get you connected with Gail. She can help you through the process.
Okay.
All right, I'll give you a couple more. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Go ahead. Tell me. What would you do
Okay.
differently?
Well, I'd say, hello, this is Rebecca with Rossetti Realty. Hello, Mrs. Yu. This is just doing a follow-up call. We spoke 30 days ago, and I also sent you the package of information via email that we discussed last time. And I'm touching bases with you to see if you are ready to schedule the appointment with Gail Rossetti.
Okay,
And
Gail,
then see what it is.
Gail, what would you have her do differently? You have to unmute us, Gail.
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead.
So, hi, this is Rebecca with Rossetti Realty. The reason I'm calling you is because we spoke 30 days ago. I had sent you a package of information that had comparables in the 7-point strategic infographic and booklet, and you had said that you received it. And I'm just following up to find out if you're ready to have a conversation or an appointment with Gail at this time.
Yeah. See, do you see the complete redo of the whole package? She's actually going back to the script where she's actually expressing in a full way what was in it, because you, at this point in time, you've already sent it. And so you need to remind her of what it was, because as you begin to describe it, right? I sent you some pictures of properties. Gail, I could make the argument she could go even more specific.
Yeah.
Right? Say, I sent you a fistful, or 5 or 6 properties that had sold in the $7 million range while you were on the market the last time, right? As well as Gail's 7-step plan to help you, get prepared to sell it the next time. So she could be, yeah, hang on, Autumn, I'll get you. So she could have been more specific in what it was. And now the next question is, do you, it's almost like, I'd almost take a pause. Do you remember receiving that?
Yeah, maybe. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because I think that becomes the differentiator. Did you receive that? Because if not, send it again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the idea of this positive Trojan horse that changes the relationship is extremely important to them. matching this direct mail thing. I mean, Gail, you well know that your main avatar is now somebody who has received this beneficial information from you, right? I mean,
Right.
that's what makes you different from everybody else. And if they have not, then you're just exactly what she's saying. Are you just another realtor? That's what she said in so many words, right? She said it in less. Oh, are you a realtor? So there's zero differentiation from the crowd. And where we have success is when we can begin to be identified as, oh, Danny Griffin from Griffin Realty Group. Oh, right. Super. Right. Because we're trying to separate. That separation from the crowd hasn't happened here, which means we have to go back to the primary lead magnet, the thing that really begins to magnetize these people in. And again, of course, in the case of an expired, this is an outbound call to get a lead magnet delivered, right?
Danny,
Go ahead, Autumn.
I don't understand why we're so far off the second pitch. The second pitch was simply, hello, did you get the package I sent? Great. Danny and I were looking at your house again, and Danny wanted to ask if he could have the nickel tour. So at this point, I would be saying, Danny wanted me to ask you if he could have what he calls the nickel tour, which would be a phone call now.
Yeah. I don't disagree. She's into like the third call or so here. But again, but Autumn, I'm going to agree with you. I think this is as simple as saying, I'm not even so sure that first beat, I'd like to send you some information, has even had its impact yet, right? So she's even a step back from that, let alone going further, right? So
you almost want to follow up and say, hey, as we had discussed previously, I sent you the information. I wanted to make sure you got it and see what questions it may have stirred up.
Maybe
because it engages.
But Dean, I'm still with Autumn. The idea is, look, you may not be ready yet. I don't know what that means, but Gail would love to have the nickel tour, and maybe she could tell you to give you a couple of tips on what to do and what not to do. So
I think that's what it is. It's a lead into engagement to say, okay, terrific. You're one step closer. We'd like to set up an appointment. We'd like to set up a time to come by and take a quick look at the house and then answer any other questions you might have. And boom, that's it. Yeah.
I think it's all in there somewhere, Gail. But I really like, because Autumn's been doing it now, and it's been 100% working to get into at least the telephone calls and push for that. We listed one over the phone. We're close to listing a second one if I can get in the house before he gets back. If not, he's back June 19th, and so we know we're in the lead on that one by far because we're going deeper. So the idea is, I'd almost say at $7 million, Gail, she should be closing for a phone appointment, right? I mean, why not? Why not? Because she's running out of tarmac to just kind of chip away at this. I mean, this is a lady who's preparing a house, and she said, I don't know, maybe over the next 2 months. What can we do to help you prepare? I mean, Gail was hoping for the nickel tour, and I'd love to get her over there, and she can give you some tips, And then see, I mean, when you're hunting whales and elephants like you are, I mean, I think this is a pass-off moment, in fact, right? Because she's inside of 60 days. And if Rebecca can't close for that appointment, Gail, this is a great one to just take it over. Take it over. Because she's done as well as she can. I mean, clearly, Rebecca, I think the best advice you got on this call right here was from Autumn, who does the job. Why are we so far off the second pitch? We were the one, I still think, to add to Autumn's, you still have to reiterate, we're the ones that sent you the pictures and details of properties. And if you're saying that there was a call in between the first and this one, is that what you're saying, Rebecca?
There were 2 calls between the first call and this one.
Okay. Do you recall if you ever really firmly got a yes, she got the information? Did you? Because what they want are the pictures and details of what's sold when they didn't. That's what they want. What they need was also in there, Gail's 7 steps. And then it's sort of, hey, by the way, I was talking to Gail about it, and she loves to know what's out there off market and coming on. And she was wondering if she could get the nickel tour of the property, or she get a quick tour of the property. Would that be possible? Now, if the lady puts you off, say, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have Gail check in the next time, and just pass it off. Because it's too big, to not make this go a little bit further. right? Because
Right.
Gail, you have too much knowledge that you're not going to be able to supplant, into Rebecca's brain at that point. She's done the job. Would you agree? Okay, you're nodding. I can see you.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm nodding.
Yeah. Well, only because it's such a big deal.
It is
right?
a big deal.
Like I wouldn't make her try to win this battle, here, right? You know how to deal with people in a sales context where English is a second language. You have a huge Asian part of the market out there. You need to step in here, right? Because it's requiring too much for her, right? I still believe what Autumn told her was absolutely precise. Why are we off the second beat so far, right?
No, that's why I brought this call on today, because I was like, this is the fourth call, and I felt like I was a little off. So should I have, when she said, I don't know, maybe in 2 months, that's when I should have closed her and said, okay, can I schedule that appointment on a specific day with Gail for you to call, or no?
Not that hard. Not that hard.
Okay.
So, Autumn, go ahead. Hit her again with the real language, the conversational tone. If you're not muted. I see that you went probably back on mute, Autumn.
No, okay, here I am. There's three.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's three things to always remember, and this is how you can self-analyze your own phone calls. There's three things, and you can't forget them. One is, are you speaking conversationally? So conversational style. Two, confident. Do you sound confident, or did you sound confident? And the third one in my book is the most important one of all, and that's concision. Please be concise and to the point, because you are an unexpected visitor standing in their foyer and they didn't ask you to come over. So please stay to the point. And that's the beauty of the pitch. That's the beauty of having your script in front of you at all times. Even somebody like me who's done it forever, you have the script in front of you, because your mind will wander, you will get distracted. It's always good to be able to look back at written words. So conversational style, confidence, concision. Those three are it's like faith, hope, and love. You can't do one without the other, really.
Yeah, awesome. All right, Autumn, you had a couple of things going on in chat. You want to speak to that?
Yeah, I'm just simply giving my pitch, which is, I sent the package, Mr. Jones. Did you get it? After I've introduced, okay, let me show you exactly how I do it. Hello, Mr. Jones, Autumn Isles calling you back. That says a lot right there. From Griffin Realty Group. I sent you a package a couple of weeks ago. Did you get it? Yes, I got it. Great. Danny and I were looking at the house again, and we still wonder why it didn't sell. And Danny wanted me to ask you, sorry, I'm going faster than I normally would.
Ahead, keep coming. Keep coming.
Danny wanted me to ask you if you would be amenable to a short phone conversation. May we do that? And once again, it's like hitting a lever. They're going to say yes. It's rare that they say no.
Yeah.
Your main challenge is getting that person on the phone in order to do that.
Yeah, right. Now, Autumn, talk about that a little bit, which starts with the pandemic. That's the main reason why it began. But now you and I are probably questioning ourselves, why don't we do that more regularly? Because when I get that opportunity to discuss this, and with Stan, we even did it before the package. Maybe you could take Stan's case, that even before the package arrived, why did you, in his case, decide to go for a phone appointment? You made a connect on the very first beat, meaning the first call, where you were able to get into maybe the second beat of, hey, it looks like a beautiful house. Why are you trying to sell it in the first place? And, on a scale of 1 to 10, and by the way, I want to mention to everybody, in light of the massive amount of work we're talking about, building a prospect list that is valuable, not some BS like tacit list, but a real relationship that's beginning to, to be born. I really make that a big deal. So if we can talk about a package of information, get that out the door to somebody, and then have a phone call, which deepens it even more, even if they're not ready right now, like Stan, who's down in Florida, we're deepening that relationship. And that's really important to us, to him, so that he hits the ground running when he gets here. Why did you do that before the package arrived?
Because in every conversation, it's if you shoot pool, you're going to know what I'm talking about. When you take a shot, you make sure that you shoot the ball in such a way that the cue ball is going to be set up for your second shot. In other words, you don't look at a pool table layout and just think about one shot. You think about winning the game, which is sinking the 8 balls. So if you have the type of mind that can look at those balls and see the angles, you always set yourself up for the next shot. For those of you who don't play pool, I will say this. I'm always listening for buzzwords. I'm always listening for timing, place, like where are they? Are they in Florida? In my case, we have a lot of snowbirds. You know, I'm listening to the date that they're going to come home. I'm listening to any word that they drop that is a real estate market word or a listing word. I'm going to pick up on that. And that's where with Stan, when he started talking, when I asked him, as I went a little deeper and said, what are you selling it for? I said it with a little more finesse than that. Once we got into the conversation, there were tons of buzzwords out there. And that's when I felt that there were enough buzzwords that I could say, hey, you know what? I think really the best thing to do is to set you up with a phone call to Danny Griffin, who's the owner of the company and the broker. And I'll tell you, if they start asking you a lot of questions and they're basically asking you to do the realtor or the broker's job, that's when you set them up with a phone call.
Yeah, good. Awesome. That Rebecca, you hear that last point? It's really, really important. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. No, this is a really good call. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Dino, I don't know whether you're flipping pages or whatever. I had to mute you there, but if you wanted to say something, you can unmute. Rebecca, bravo once again for coming to the hot seat. But Gail, I think that actually that analysis is even more important for you, right? To really see that there's that moment where, especially with 7 million, and especially where they're going to be more standoffish, maybe the wealthier they are. I'm going to make a guesstimate that happens, right? I don't know you. I'm not just going to let you in my $7 million house. I think you two should absolutely focus on looking for those triggers that says, you know what? I'd love to get Gail on the phone with you to just give you a little bit of her insight, even before you're comfortable having somebody over, right? Even though it's a couple of months away. I think you should do what we're doing, starting to close for those, because Autumn and I are having great success, including actually listing one without him coming to meet us. We went to the house, I saw it. And once I saw it, Gail, you know, it's like any of us, I was able to instantly say, this is exactly what it is. Looks good. Math looks good. I like your story out back. It should have been sold a little bit more. I knew who the realtor was, sweetheart of a gal, but I just don't know how many deals she does. I asked, you know, how many people came through. So this is all being done over the phone. There's almost this weird thing that was developed over time, that we believe that there's supposed to be so much, you know, that we just hold back until we meet. Well, you go up against Autumn and I right now, and you're holding back information, and you're not giving away your best stuff for free on the phone, which is insightful now. We've gone from an information package that's been promised, that's the what to do, and now you're on the phone and we're talking about how to do it and what happened, and we're being insightful with that guidance, which is super valuable to people, and they're beginning to lean in. And you think that you're going to be able to hold off till this guy comes down to the Cape. Oops, you missed it. Like my father used to say on the way to the Cape, when you see the bridge, oops, you missed it. You're gone, and you're wondering what happened. And it's because people that are understanding what the digital age is really about, some things haven't changed. The more insight I can give you on the phone, direct mail, like Autumn, think about what we're doing from Autumn to me to Laura. It's very low tech. The high tech stuff that's supporting it is the build out of the website. Why I got into the website business, because I needed you to say, do you do houses like mine? Well, just go check out my website. Go look at my featured properties, and it'll speak for itself now. I'm not going to send you somewhere where you have to opt in and you're like, what am I doing here? No, this is about you. This is about how we sell a listing. So they're going and they're looking at the website, whether it's me they want to hear talk before they talk to me on the phone, whether it's the properties they want to see that are the featured properties, whatever it might be. The whole concept is, we will eat your lunch, because we are willing to serve, we're willing to squeeze that accordion down. So if it means that our new way of doing business is Autumn's going to listen for those buzzwords, and you know what, why don't I get the owner on the phone? That she knows how to manipulate that language to be triggered. Let me get you the owner. Right now, not all of you are the owner or whatever the case is. Let me get you the head broker. Let me get you the main agent. Let me get you the listing specialist. Whatever the language is, close for the phone appointment, because it's hard enough. First of all, the whole business is hard enough, right? I got some of my old friends watching on YouTube and watching on Facebook. Let me tell you something. We made a huge mistake at not slowing our roll when it came to marketing strategy. And we just decided to get what Tony and I and the rest of the gang were saying yesterday, just nothing more than heartbeat subscribers, right? Users. That's all they are when I say users in a positive way. You get all these digital users just using the information that you're willing to give them. That's not even a lead, right? So when you get all this hard work and you get this $7 million owner on the phone here, Rebecca, Gail, the idea is close Gail for a phone appointment, because you're going to be pushed away further. So I'm suggesting that as this continuum of a relationship, ascends into something better, okay? There are other things you can do rather than just pause. Now, of course, we would love to get them on the MLS feed, getting the properties that continue to educate them. Sure, absolutely, yes, all that matters too. But there's nothing like the low-tech phone call. So Gail, the expert at that next level. See, don't hang on too long. Autumn is great at this. She checks her ego at the door and knows what her job is. She's way better than I am at being disciplined on the phone. Okay. That's her specialty.
Can I add one thing here?
Yeah.
I don't care if it's the third or fourth or fifth phone call. If you haven't done the second pitch, you still need to do it. And I always describe it like this. You can't leave the first paddock or corral without locking the gate behind you to go into the second one. And if you have not completed.
Oh, we lost you just when she was going to her crescendo. Autumn, that's just a little spot in the internet. So when you come back, when her internet comes back, I'm gonna let her finish that or restate it for you. This was a big point on yesterday's mastermind, where Tony and I, when we were carrying the conversation, we're talking about the offer. She's calling it a pitch, like a true telemarketer. That offer at each level is critical, but you got to sew up the first one. I say put a bow on it is my language, right? Go, Autumn, you back? Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to say, you can't get out of the first corral until you've done that job, and then you can walk out and lock the door behind you. Then you go to the second corral, you enter it, lock the door, and finish up. You don't go to the third corral until you've done it.
Yeah, and let me be specific so that metaphor doesn't leave everybody saying, well, what does that mean? No matter the context, we follow a formula, okay? And it's because Autumn and I can talk the lights out, and we can probably talk ourselves in circles if, like she said, we don't reset ourselves. I call it getting athletic. We have to remember we're trying to keep ourselves inside the guardrails because we're looking for that 8 ball in the corner pocket to win the game. I love that analogy, right? So every other shot up until that moment is a setup for the 8 ball in the corner pocket, right? So the idea is, the first thing, whether you're calling, and I talked to my team in Ottawa, if you're out there today, you need to go and reiterate. I saw that you created your free account online and to get the exclusive listings in Ottawa from the multiple listing service. And I see that you're looking on the north side of Ottawa between $350 and $450 for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Is that correct? And are you getting the correct properties? Okay. Yes, I am. Would you like to add any criteria while you have me? Yes, I would. Wonderful. Let me add that. Superb. Wonderful. Now I've sewed the button on that one. I'm good. That's what she's talking about. I served based on what the benefit to them was, and I cleaned it up and I added even more value, but I closed that door and I go to the next one. Hey, by the way, the last time we talked, or hey, by the way, while I have you also, why are you thinking about buying a house? Right? Now shut up and let them read their mind aloud and listen. The key point here is, I know in a training context, it sounds like me, Autumn, anybody else who weighs in here, we're talking at you a lot because we're in a teaching context, he said. But when we're in the job, we do an unbelievable amount of listening. I think Laura was shocked the first time she went to a listing presentation with me, how much listening I did, because I'm only there to react to what's important to them. I know my stuff. That's why we do Campfire week after week after week after week. We hit the basics so that we can teach this person the basics. Now you get to that point. By the way, why? Do you have a real reason to buy? Whoa, that's a big reason. You got a job transfer. When does it start? June. Geez, on a scale of 1 to 10, how motivated are you to get looking right now? I'm a 10. Wonderful. In that case, here's the second offer. In that case, I'd love to set you up with one of our agents to get out and see a few of your favorites right away, because you got to get offline if you're going to get this deal done, right? And see what's really out there, because everything changes when you're there physically. That's offer number 2, just like she's saying. So you want to make it clear as to what's happening as you move from one stage to the next stage. Okay, everybody got that? Any questions about that? And then Paul was kind enough to send me some calls, so I'm going to play those too. Questions about that? This is critical. And by the way, Autumn, tell them, are we having some success doing this or not?
Yes, we are having incredible success. As a matter of fact, I'm amazed that this is all phone calling and we're slapping houses up on the market.
Amen, sister. Like, who knew? The pandemic actually taught us how good this formula, or how well, if he's going to speak proper English here today for his folks, how well this formula is working and how it's easy to juxtapose it upon another context. We happen to be focused on one context, but to hear the gang up in Ottawa, who I keep naming, because Sarah, Corey, and gang up there are calling a lot of buyer internet leads. And I think it's definitely, well, I know in Dave's case, it has certainly made his success ratio go through the roof. Dave, if you're on, you can yell an amen or ask a question about that. Questions about this? I have a big crowd here. You're awfully quiet. So let me know. And I know the chat's working and Autumn's helping, answer.
Danny, we talked about, Autumn could share about whether she left messages or how is she calling? I mean, the tactical work of that, Autumn.
Okay.
Oh, she hit another rut in the internet. Hang on 1 second. At least we know what it is. It's only temporary. It's like hitting a pothole in the internet, right?
That's funny.
But I think that's an excellent question, because that's a very logistical question, Gail, that people ask us all the time, is like, well, what happens when you're pounding away and somebody won't answer initially or again? What was your context? Whether they won't, whether it's again?
Can I
Oh,
just,
there you're back. Yeah, come on.
I'm back. Okay. I don't leave a message till about the 7th or 8th call. And
Bravo. Hey, by the way, does everybody hear what that means? Right?
Mhm.
You heard what she said, but you hear what it means. It means we are not shrinking violets here. We are not passive. We don't make a call in our office and then check the box and say, oh, I did the job today. I made my calls. No, you didn't. You didn't get anybody on the phone call. So it takes you 6 or 7 calls to finally get somebody on the phone and then make a decision. That's a real telemarketer's mentality. And I want everybody to hear that. Anybody that makes phone calls, if I hear you say, oh, I can't get anybody on the phone, you're not making enough phone calls, period. There's no nice way to talk to you. You're not making enough phone calls, period. So you better be making more phone calls like she does. And she has a mindset. You're going to answer my phone call. I'm telling you, am I wrong?
no, you're not wrong. I will call. I don't drive them nuts, but I do call systematically, once a week or what have you. And by the 7th or 8th call, if I haven't reached them, I will leave a message that's very simple. Hello, this is Autumn. I'm from Griffin Realty Group. I saw that great house online. I'd like to speak to you and send some information to you. Do you mind giving me a call back? Blocka, the number. Thanks very much. Click. Within 3 calls after that, they usually answer the phone. So, but that's a total of 11 calls.
Yep. And again, here's the great news for everybody. No matter what, I'll say this again, no matter what kind of contact you're calling, That means lead source. It's just contact info. No matter what you're calling, you get yourself athletic. You know what your first service beat is. Let's start calling it that because that's what it is. There's a service beat that better happen if you want to be different from everybody else, right? How can you serve them? What's in it for them? That's a very, very key beat, no matter what the lead is, whether they're inbound or you're making an outbound call. It doesn't matter. Inbound, because they came on the internet, I saw that you were looking for a home evaluation, and I want to get you what I can without having been in the house. So let me ask you a few questions, right? So I can get this right and I can mail it to you so it's thorough. That's the truth. So hit that beat. But then as you go into this other, like they came in or they're sitting there waiting for you, be hungry to go serve them, please. Right?
Autumn, so do you, has it ever happened that packages of information have gone out and you've spoken to them after that?
Yes.
Yes. Now, but we're talking about two different things. Sometimes the first thing is I've called 8 times. They've never answered. I finally leave a message. Then I call a few more times. Within those times, they answer the phone and then we do the dance. There are other calls where I call so many times. These houses are worth 5 million. I send a package out after 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 calls when it seems like it needs to happen. And yes, they will answer their phone after they get the package.
So Gail,
not always. It's
yeah.
1 out of 3.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Gail, the idea that she brought up is super relevant to you sitting in Palo Alto, right? Because she does that, especially downtown Boston. Okay. Because we're going to kick that door down and bring the service to those people at that high end. So I think you want to be judicious about when that happens. And yes. I know originally we were all using the direct mail prior to really understanding the power of the 1-2 punch, the telemarketing with the direct mail. But we've tried to reel it in. Why? Because what Autumn's beginning to really understand is the value of the prospect list. So she and Laura are being diligent, right? And again, it's tough with the pandemic stuff. You know, the 3 of us haven't been able to really regularly be together for at least once a month meeting about the value of that list. But it's become very clear that it's the prospect list now that becomes her priority. Because if she has this clear list and we're trying to pull it out, Autumn's great at trying to play the game we've set up in Infusionsoft, be diligent, tag properly, etc. Because she recognizes that if she forgets on somebody she's got a good lead on, somebody else is going to pick our pocket, right? Yeah. So the point is she's able to build that prospect list. And then we're able as a team to look down and say, all right, here's the top 10, here's the top 20. What do we know about them? And that's just a management meeting. It's a dashboard moment, right? And I think I want to make everybody understand why we're successful at the moment. The 3 of us are obsessing about the quality of that list first. That follow-up call, that second beat, that second pitch, as she called it, is way more important than the first beats now. When you first start, of course, you don't have that list. So you're trying to create that prospect list where they have, expressed a real reason to sell. They've expressed, interest in the package. Now there's perhaps been some even a little bit more follow-up about timing. So now when she calls back, she's still trying to close no matter what their timing is for that second pitch. Let's go all the way back to now being judicious. We're not just going to send packages out to everybody and then try to get them to answer that way. And my caveat there was, we're not lazy in my office. You just heard her say it, and you know me and you know Laura. So you already know we're not lazy. We know that the best way to close somebody for an appointment is to get them the information, make sure they see the value in it, and then hit the next clear beat. So now we know a better practice than we knew then is to try to get the permission marketing. Seth Godin 101, I heard it from him probably 8 years ago. Get permission to market. When you get permission and you mail it and you follow up, it's far better. However, if it's something we really, really, really want, I am more than willing to make that business decision to turn Autumn and Laura loose, get a package out to the winners that nobody's getting to. Nobody, because they're not answering anybody's phone call. They're going dark, they're wealthy, they're busy, whatever it is, go get that best stuff. Kick some of those doors down as in addition, but I wouldn't want it, Gail, to slow the whole process down. Follow?
Yeah.
Gail, you with me still? She might be muted.
Did Danny?
Yeah.
Here.
Okay, cool. Yeah, cool. Yeah. All right. All right. Let's move on. I want to go questions before I listen to a couple more calls and then call it. Questions, thoughts. Got a lot of people on the call. I'll take another scenario too. If you have an outside sales scenario, whatever it may be, all you outside salespeople, you're shrinking violets when you come to my call. Not good.
You did say something that kind of triggered, because I had this conversation the other day with somebody in my own office.
Yeah.
I said, you got to come from a position where you're there to sell, to serve, not to sell.
Yep.
And there's a big mindset shift that happened, because when we were playing around with it the other day, I said, just ask the question of me this way and then that way. I said, look how much more receptive you are when you come from a position of, I'm here to serve you, not to sell you.
Yeah.
It takes away that defensive attitude from the person on the other side of the phone.
But again, it is what we're doing if we do this correctly, isn't it? Right? I mean, hey, listen,
Yes.
you know what? I think it would be beneficial for you to get on the phone with Gail, because I'm sure while you're getting the property ready, she can give you some tips. I mean, she's taking a look at it. She thinks it's a fabulous property and she has some ideas for you. Simple. Isn't
Yeah,
that?
I mean, you come from that position of, I'm not here to make sure I get an appointment. I'm here to make sure that I'm providing you with the service and the information and all the other things that you need. So stop. I hear from too many of the inside salespeople kind of a tone or a question all too often where it's like, well, I've got to get the appointment. No, you've got to serve that person. And the appointment is part of that service at the right time. You've got to listen for that.
Amen, brother. Amen. Because that's
Yeah.
what I did. That's what I did on these phone calls with these people. I served them. I gave my insight away for free. And I was more than willing to give even more. I'm willing to tell you everything transparently with the hope that is magnetically powerful enough for you to appreciate me. And now you know you need me in that house. You know you need me in that house. I gave you
Right.
everything. You can take what I gave you and give it to your best friend's sister's cousin who's the realtor. That's great. But you now know you need me in that house, right?
Well,
Right.
and persistence is also service.
Yep.
You know, there's nothing wrong with making.
That's a
making-
great point. I think
Yeah.
that's a great point. I think when they see that persistence, they
Right.
know that this
They
is the way we
trust
act. Well, this is the way we act while we have your listing too. It's not just because we're giving you, like Dean makes a great clarification. We're giving you this service and this information first, and then it's becoming more insight around that information. And we're doing that now. Can you imagine what we do when we go to list your house or we're on the road with you as a buyer? In fact, we've already taught you what it's going to be like. Now it's just going to be go time with you. All right, let me listen to a couple calls here. Cantu sent them to me. He had to jump off, but I want to listen to these and see where we go.
Hello. Hi. Is this Ms. Tatiana?
This is Tatiana, yes.
Hi there. This is Sam from Cantu Group Real Estate. See, I'm calling because we saw your beautiful home online and we noticed it didn't sell. So we wanted to send you something that will help you sell it the next time. May I do that?
Send us what?
Perfect. Love it.
What? I'm sorry?
What are you going to send? I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Good. Come on.
Mailing a list of properties with pictures and details that sold in your price range while you were on the market.
Perfect.
And we're also including a copy of our 7-step listing plan.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, bang. Just textbook perfect. All right. Now you heard a live call from somebody who has slowed down. And just like Autumn was saying, she's trying to slow down and close the beat. Let's see how she closes this and where it goes from there.
Okay, may I confirm the best address? I have it here. It's 1464 O 36th Avenue in Northeast Lake Forest Park.
That is correct, yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, we'll send that over and we'll follow up in a week just to make sure that you received it, okay?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. It drives me batty that she's like, because she's that good now on the first pitch, but it drives me batty that she put a bow on it. She has permission marketing. She did an excellent job. This is exactly what I wanted somebody to say on one of these calls. What? What are you sending me? Bravo. And she just nails it because just like Autumn said, finger on the script, reiterate what's in it for them specifically, pictures and details of properties that sold around you or you're on the market, plus a copy of our 7-step plan. Bravo. That's a lead magnet articulation, 5 gold stars. Bravo, because you don't need to do more than that. And again, I will repeat, Sam's in Mexico City. English is her second language, even though she spent time in LA. So anybody can do this when you follow the yellow brick system, anybody. So now all of a sudden you come down. Now what drives me crazy, because Autumn would, I don't know if Autumn's going crazy listening to this call, because Autumn would have buttoned that up and she would have gone for the second beat because she's got this person on the phone. And it's not always easy to get somebody back on the phone. But again, because we're not just asking to follow up, there's something coming, there's an expectation, and she's given the expectation that she will indeed call. And I don't know whether Paul's making the follow-ups now to this person or what the deal is, but the value of Sam in this moment can be continued. She has this woman in an appreciated tone. She was a little skeptical. What is it? Then you can hear her switch when there's a benefit to her. And now all of a sudden it's like, hey, by the way, while I have you, looks like a beautiful house. Why are you trying to sell it? Now she may or may not answer, but why not begin to warm it up? Because if she hears, this is what I said about being careful about getting your pocket picked. This worked. But what if this lady is in the thick right now of making a decision to re-up with her old agent or find a new one? We don't know that. So now, even though we've got it appropriate, I'll sell you next week. I'll call you next week to make sure you got it. What if there's urgency? Because we have heard that on this call, right? On the sales training call, we've heard people say, well, I'm getting ready to put it back on this weekend. Well, geez, in that case, I'd love you to talk with the broker, Danny, so he can give you some tips on top of what I'm going to send you. I don't even have to, like Dean said, I don't even have to go, well, don't list with anybody else, right? It's the mentality of, geez, I'd love to get Danny on the phone. He can give you some tips before you list it, right? Hey, Danny, quick, you got competition. Get on the phone with this guy tonight at 7:30. I booked it for you, right? That's the mentality here. So that's the only thing that drives me batty is that she got that good at it. She should have that script right in front of her. Hey, by the way, while I have you, right? That's it. All it is. Hey, by the way, while I have you, why were you thinking about selling in the first place? Looks like a nice property. And off to the races. All right. Final thoughts, final questions. I'll open it up. I try again. I beg you all for your questions. I'd love to serve you more, all of you, by answering your questions. And I got a bunch of people in here, but nobody asks. So not much.
Come on, guys, ask a question. It's fun.
I want to go over that part again, Danny.
Okay.
Where you said, I'd love you get you on the phone with our broker, to give you some tips. Is that what I'm going to say? Some tips?
Well,
some advice?
Yeah. Some insights. Some tips.
Dig it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like insights.
Yeah. Here's what I think is
insights
true
on your home, on selling it, on
what to do.
On what to do.
Right. Well, think about it simply here. What we did was send them, we're promising all of them, nothing more than information. Thanks for creating your free account on my website. Going to send you some information. It's all just information. And it all revolves primarily around what they want, which is pictures and details of properties that matter to them. It's all the same. No matter what
I don't even say insights. I say to help you make a decision.
Yeah. Well, let me give you a couple things to test, because I'd love to hear some recorded calls from Autumn, and I'd love to hear some recorded calls from you. Autumn, we got to get some of your recorded calls, by the way. So try to use Vulcan at least for a fistful of them, so we get them so they can hear what it's actually like to be you. Because I know Autumn uses her cell phone a lot, and we went batty trying to find a call recorder, and they were a pain in the ass. So that's the truth. But we'll try to get you some, just so you know why we don't have them. That's why. I don't want to look at, we're doing really well. And I'm not going to mess with my telemarketing department, but we will do our best to mix in some of those recordings if we can make some off of Vulcan for you. Okay. Now, having said that, Allison, you go back to that moment. And if you listen better for those trigger words, that sounds like there is an immediacy to this and there's a closability to this, you'll go for it by saying, hey, you know what? The more I hear why you want to do it and that your timing sounds like pretty soon, you know what I think I should do? I think I should get Chris on the phone with you for a few minutes. And so I know the package, and this was what happened with this guy, Stan. The package is not even there yet. I think you should talk to Danny right now, because I think he can give you some insight into, the situation and give you a little bit of a feel for the marketplace. I think all of it's fair game. But I think it has to be clear in your mind's eye, what is the value of having Chris on the phone?
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
because he's the guy. Like if I book an appointment, I'm sending him out because he's the guy. He's my guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think anything in and around there, to help me if there's the competition. I think what Autumn said would be appropriate if there's competition, or if they're deciding whether
a
or
lot
not.
of that.
Well, yeah, or
I'm homing in on that big time because I'm going to list in a couple of days. I'm going to relist, with the same realtor that had it on the market and it didn't sell for 169 days.
Yeah, we'll do, but you don't even.
Yeah.
I would never say that.
Yeah,
I'm
but
just
hold on.
saying it's
Yeah,
like,
but hold on.
why?
You don't even have to feel defensive. Say, whoa, before you do that, I'll tell you what. Why don't I get a consultation for you for free on the phone with Chris? He knows his stuff pretty cold, and he knows your neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly.
It wouldn't hurt you to jump on it. Can have him call you this afternoon? May I do that? So it's always Dean's right. It's the service thing, but I'm going to take the service word a step further. What is the benefit to the next level? Right.
And right. And then when you guys are saying, may I do that? Because I was late on the call, you aren't going, may I do that anymore? It's kind of like, may I do that?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
There are no questions in telemarketing. There's no question marks.
Well, you know what I call it, Autumn? You know what I call it now? I call it the apologetics. We need to get rid of the apologetics. I mean, why is everybody almost apologizing?
No.
Sorry.
It's natural for people to say, "Hey, can I do that?" I can't even
like a
do it.
Ball.
But you hear some people do it, and it's just awful. And you want? Am I blocked? Am I cutting out?
No, you're good.
No.
Go.
Okay.
Good.
So, make sure you are thinking like you're telling a kid not to touch the stove. May I do that? Not that loud, clearly, but may I do that? Like, I'm not really sure why I'm here, but maybe you'll let me do that. That's BS.
Yeah. All right. Let me end the call with this really good point that they're making here. Okay. Stop apologizing and start leading.
Amen.
Whether you are on the phone, whether you are going to visit them, whatever part of this process it is, it's leadership. A good guide is a strong guide, is a leader. Okay. But Dean's right. You lead by empowering somebody. So you might have to grab somebody by the collar and say, wait a minute. Let me just show you. I'm sending you some really valuable stuff. Slow down. I'm not soliciting anything. I want to get this information to you. It is pictures and details of properties that sold in your price range when you were on the last time. All by yourself, you can take a look at that and you can make your comparative, understanding of what happened. The second thing is I am giving you a total copy of the plan, outline, and detail of what we do. Now, I customize that for each situation, of course, but I give you those two things. This is really important to you. Humor me. Get a copy of it, right? So that's leadership. That's an example of the way I actually talk to people. Because that's what gets me home with them when they're starting to flail away. Well, do you have a buyer for me? Geez, everybody asks me the same question. I hope so, but that's not why I'm calling. I'm calling to help you figure out why it didn't sell the first time. Let's start with that. That's a real scenario on somebody who just committed, one of Autumn's clients too. Somebody just committed to 2 houses, not 1. It turns out she got me into a place where there was 2, right? So you see the point is, it's strong guidance, not obnoxious, not that I'm not listening. I heard him and he didn't want to hire a wimp. In fact, he came to my office, okay, with his wife, elderly couple, walked up the stairs, sat down, and wanted to stare right at me and see if the voice on the other end of the phone was the legit person he thought it was. And we had more of that conversation. Then we got in the house. Then we made the connection, right? That's how it goes. All right, everybody, listen, happy Memorial Day weekend to everybody out there that is in the United States and, of course, all around the world. If you know anybody who has served in the military or served in any way for that matter, happy Memorial Day, trying to remember all those people who gave major sacrifice. That's what it's all about this weekend. And so let's keep their memory alive by trying to do the minimum we can do by serving people in a much lesser way, but still a very important way. Okay. Have a great weekend. Get out there and practice this stuff. Appreciate you all for being here. And especially those of you that get in here with me and dig around with me and Autumn. All right, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Danny. Thanks, Autumn.
Thanks,
Bye,
Autumn.
guys. You're
Bye, you
welcome.
guys. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Danny. Thanks, Autumn.
Charlie. Bye,
You're
gang.
welcome.